Okay, in previous videos, in a previous assignment, you guys started to learn how to use formulas to add numbers, subtract numbers, multiply, divide, to do different math functions in Excel. So we're going to continue that. Just a quick review. So if I wanted to add these two numbers together, I wanted to find the total for this column here. We want to find what the total is for 21 plus 18. I can easily do that with a formula. As you remember, all formulas always start with an equals, no matter whether you're using Calc or Microsoft Excel like I am. Then you follow that by using your cell references to add them together. So I want to add together whatever number is in cell C4. So I can click on C4 and I want to add whatever is in cell C18, the next one down, so I can click on C18. So now I have a formula that says equals C4 plus C5. So it'll add whatever is in C4 and C5 together. I hit enter and I get my answer. C4 plus C5 is 39. And we use those cell references so that if this changes 20, I get 38. For 10, it always updates my answer to match whatever numbers I put in these different cells. One side note here, as you're going through and you're working on these, always remember there's two views for every cell. You have in the box, in the cell where you click, you can see whatever it is you would normally see, however you have it formatted. You'll see the answer to a formula, you'll see the date, you'll see however you have it formatted. At the top you have what's called the formula bar, and this is what is actually in the cell that you have selected. So if I have this one selected, I can see that it's a 10 here, and it's actually a 10 in the cell when I look at the formula bar. Same thing here, C5. If I look at that, it's 29. In the formula bar, it's 29. But if I click on this one, here it is 39 because that's the answer to my formula. But if I look up here in the formula bar, it tells me what's really in the cell, which is a formula that says C4 plus C5. So you can always click on a cell and you can see the formula that you have behind that number anytime, and you can modify it here if you need to. Okay, so we would do the same thing here. If we want to find the total for all of these numbers in this column, I would put my cursor in here, and I always start my formula with an equals every time. So I want to add whatever's in B2 plus whatever's in B3, but we can keep on going with that. You don't have to stop at just 2. You can add B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7, and it starts to become a long formula, but you've got the same thing. B2 plus B3 plus B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7, and you hit enter and you get your answer, 222. This is great, however, already with just 6 cells, it started to become time consuming. Imagine if you had a spreadsheet where you had 10, 15, even if you had like 50 cells with numbers you needed to add together. There's no way that you would want to sit there and click all those cells and put a plus sign in between every one of them. So what Excel has is called a function that allows you to do this much quicker and easier if you have more than just a couple numbers you need to add together. And there's actually many functions that do lots of things other than adding, and we'll get to some of those later. But functions work pretty much the same way no matter what the function is. There's a basic format for that. So you always start with equals, just like you would a formula, because it basically is a formula. So you always start with equals, followed by whatever your function is. And then you have an open parenthesis, and you're going to tell it what cells you want that function to be applied to. So you have your cell, your first cell with a colon, and your last cell, which is called your cell range. So the range of cells that you want this function to be applied to, and then you will close your parenthesis. So this is the standard format that you always follow anytime you use a function. You always start with an equal sign, whatever your function is, and then a parenthesis, and inside those parentheses you have the range of cells you want that function to be applied to. So we're going to try this same thing again, add all these together to find the total, only instead of adding b2 plus b3 plus b4 and so on, we're going to use a function. So let me erase what's in here, and we'll try it again. I'm going to do it the same way with an equal sign, and then I want my function. If you remember in math, whenever you add stuff together, you're finding the sum of those numbers. So Excel uses that as its function. You want to find the sum, and then I will include my parenthesis, open parenthesis, and then I need to input my cell range. And the easiest way to do that is just to click and drag your mouse to highlight all the cells you want. So I want to click on B2 and hold down my mouse button, and I want to drag it down and choose all of the cells that I want to find the sum of. So I want to choose B2 through B7, let go, and you'll see it included B2 colon B7. That means that B2 and B7 and everything in between is included in that range. And then I'm going to close my parenthesis. So here's my formula with my function for sum. So I have equals the function of sum and then the cell range. Hit enter and it does the same thing. And if you remember, I can click on that cell. I've got my answer here, but if I look at the formula bar, I can still see my formula. So like I said, Excel has lots of functions that do many different things. Say instead of the total, I wanted to find the average of all of these numbers. I could do the exact same thing with a function. I would start it with my equal sign, followed by the function. And since I'm not adding them, I'm not going to use sum because I don't want to find the sum of these numbers. I want to find the average of these numbers. So my function is average. And then I will use an open parenthesis, include my cell range by clicking and highlighting the cells just like I did before. So I have a cell range of B2 through B7. Close my parenthesis. So I have the same thing again, equals, function, parenthesis, my cell range, and close parenthesis. I will hit enter, and it gives me the answer. 37 is the average of all these numbers. Once again, because we used the cell references, if any of these numbers change, 15, it will change any of my numbers below. 10. So I can easily change all of these numbers and it'll automatically update my functions and formulas to give me the correct answers. So you're going to use the same thing applied to your M&M project. You should have gotten a package of M&Ms, counted all of them, and gotten the numbers of each color. Put together a spreadsheet similar to this, and we just want to find the total number of M&Ms that were in your package and find the average of each color. On average, how many of each color is in a package. So I'm going to use my function equals and then the function sum, my parenthesis, followed by the cell range. So I'm going to choose my cell range and then my close parenthesis. And I know that there were 52 M&Ms in my package. So I'm going to do the same thing with average. I want my equal sign because it's a formula, function. My function is average. I want to find the average of these numbers. Open my parenthesis, choose my cell range, and then close my parenthesis and hit enter. And I will know that on average for each color there's 10.4 M&Ms in a package. So that's all you have to do for this assignment. Once you have it done, make sure you save it and upload it to Kismet.